Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome again to a new series of America Leading Ladies with selected authors. Today, July 2nd, 2020, one of our authors will be Catherine Gruener. She's a psychotherapist who works with parents of atypical children, helping them understand their strength and transform their weaknesses to help them and their children thrive, creating healthier and stronger communities. She's a licensed clinical professional counselor and national certified counselor, certified in positive discipline with a master in neuropsychology. She is passionate about sharing her knowledge and has been recognized for outstanding leadership by the International Association of Top Professionals in New York, Elite American Educators, Elite Women Worldwide, Marquis Who's Who. Then today we are giving you Catherine Gruener. You have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Flore. Thanks, guys. I'm so excited about being here today with all of you. When I was thinking about reading, and so I'm going to talk about the winding path to self-actualization, actually. So I am so thrilled to be part, of our book. And one of the things that people don't realize is that when Pat Sampson asked me to be part of the book, part of why I did it is because it's about the stories of strength and strife that women have gone through in order to take that, transform it. And so we call it like deconstructing and reconstructing, and then sharing that wisdom and knowledge with everyone. So I'm super excited to be able to do that with you guys today. And given all of the COVID-19, all the things that have been happening, I mean, we call this America's Leading Ladies, right? And so in America right now, we've gone through COVID-19. We're going through radical shifts and radical changes too. Some really exciting radical shifts and changes in marginalization and in equality, and also in there's a lot of deconstructing of a lot of concepts that in everyone's home because of COVID, and across the country in our communities. And so when I was looking over this, I'm really excited to share this with you because I think that it echoes kind of what we're doing right now, what's happening in the world, what's happening in America. So my chapter is The Winding Path to Self-Actualization. And the real gift we can give to the world is being our authentic selves. And our authentic selves is not the selves that we put on. It's not the sleeves that we wear. It's not the makeup. It's not the stuff that's around us. It's what's in our heart and what we came into the world to be. So we disintegrate to rebuild. And we're in this right now. We're disintegrating, and we started to rebuild in America. And we all have our own stories about disintegrating and rebuilding, right? So here's part of mine. So I wasn't especially close with my best friend's younger brother. Like most high school kids, we didn't pay much attention to our elementary school siblings, right? He was a good kid. I didn't think much about it. And then something terrible happened. Even though I could spot the change after the car hit him, his personality, his demeanor, his temperament, everything changed drastically. And my best friend's life was upended, her family, everything. Her brother suffered a severe traumatic brain injury. And I watched as his family and my friend's family fell apart. Her brother's personality changed, his temperament changed, and I began to question how much of him was still in him. Where's the soul? The question haunted me and drove me to get a degree in psychology and a master's degree in neuropsychology. And this random awful accident fueled my fascination with the mind-body connection and my pursuit in understanding the soul. So it's about the mind, the body, and the soul. There was ample opportunities to study brains in the neuropsychology program that I did in Colorado, and at my first job in a rehabilitation center, which was all about severe traumatic brain injuries and helping people with that. And I pushed hard to distinguish the real source of the disorders. I knew that people were more than organic brain syndrome. We are more than our brains. And this is where I got involved, and I started becoming a voice for others and advocate for more holistic mental health. So instead of mental illness, mental wellness and mental health. So in 1996, I found myself married and living on Saipan. It's a commonwealth, and it's in the Ring of Fire, an island in the Ring of Fire over in the South Pacific. And it's a beautiful island, but it has a dichotomy to it. 8 by 11 mile item where there's the Asian luxury hotels, and then there are people who build huts and cans and are living on the beach and don't have anything. So it's a dichotomy. And I was one of the only few white, blonde-haired women in an island. Of 300,000 is the whole island, and it was 60,000. So I immediately became a minority. And that was an amazing awakening, becoming a minority. I didn't realize before this what it was like to be a minority, what happened. And it gave me a glimpse into, again, some of the things that may be happened here in America that went on. And so even as an introvert, I savored my time alone. I started to feel isolated. And when my position was finally approved by the government, I poured myself into my work as a therapist, the mental health assessor, community counselor. I lived on boxed and canned food and bathed in brackish water. I avoided wild dogs and feral cats and World War II undetonated bombs that they used to go and put into shelters, cannons and guns in the jungle that were still there. I survived super typhoons on the island, 5 of them, and a 7-point earthquake, a tsunami threat, and a divorce. And the work was challenging as well. I've taken knives away from large people and guns away from others, stopped suicide threats in teens. The culture was beautiful, but also so different from what I grew up in with the Western culture. It generated a completely different way of speaking, of sharing, of politicking, and relating to others. The mainlanders on the island are communal, they're holistic, they're matriarchal, they trust intuition more than deductive reasoning. They respect established hierarchies, they barter fervently, and they avoid confrontations. So one of the things that I did as a lead on the CNMI mental health statistics team, I went to Washington for the CNMI and I negotiated different things that were going on for mental health. And I was really struck by the difference between this Eastern and Western cultures. And everything that I knew from the Western culture when I was there fell away. So as a therapist, I watched myself disintegrate and go through this. And I studied how pervasive our cultural norms are on identity and strictly how our environment frames our view of life. And then through this, I discovered how desperately we need to connect with others and what true connection means. I saw how much humanity has in common, but also how diverse our thinking can be. I suffered through that process. It was hard. It wasn't easy. It wasn't expected, much like COVID was, much like the things were today. It wasn't expected. I didn't expect to go through this. But the process came through, and through that process, I healed and I reconnected with my soul. I think today that's what's really important, is that we have an opportunity right now in America to reconnect with our core, with our values, and become even better than what we were before. I can tell you through my process of disintegrating, I came out completely better, a much better person than when I went into it. I wouldn't change it for the world. So, lessons learned. I came back to the United States. My parents were getting older, so I came back. I had a divorce. I had a miscarriage. I needed some time just to take some time and figure out, how am I going to take this forward? What am I going to do with all these lessons and how am I going to impact the new place that I'm coming back to, America? So here's the lessons, the big ones that I learned, is that being has far less to do than id, ego, survival, or self-interest than it does our experiences as an intact soul growing up in a social environment. We come into this world with a temperament and with who we are, with a soul. We come into this world with a soul. We have everything we need. We just don't know how to be able to express it in this world. We have our life path, our life purpose, our strengths. We have all of this that can lead to having a healthy, fulfilled, meaningful life. And as we grow up, we learn from our parents first and then from others how to speak, how to eat, how to be able to express ourselves, right? The real process of self-actualization, though, is more than that. It's our journey towards who we really came into the world to be. It's about blending from within and outside so that we can reveal our soul, reveal our purpose. So everyone right now is a complex algorithm of the soul you were born with, and every interaction that you've ever had, and every thought you've had about that interaction, and any decision that you've made about that interaction. The strongest impressions that we take away from interactions are how we belong and how we're significant. That's our motivation. How do I belong? How am I significant? How do I belong here? What do I do? Why am I important? When we believe that we don't belong, if we believe that we're not important, or we find ourselves that we're lesser than in some way, we're going to try out a range of behaviors to make ourselves whole again. But in doing so, we move equally away from who we came into the world to be. We overcompensate. And when we do that, we move away from our true self. So self-actualization, and moments like this, like in COVID-19, where you're confronted with, was what I heard from society right? Wait, do I have to be a good person if I only do this? What makes me a good person? Self-actualization is taking back bit by bit your self-worth, moving closer to who you really came into the world to be, right? So in the parenting work that I do, I see it all the time. Children do this all the time when they feel lesser than, if they don't feel like they matter, they will try. So children who feel like they matter only when they're in charge, they're going to have power struggles because they're going to try to take control, right? Children who act out, get noticed, and connect attention-getting behaviors with feeling seen are only going to do mischievous attention behavior, getting, problems. Children who don't realize that they're hurting and lashing out in revenge with the simplest expression that they know, I hate you. So if they don't know how to be able to express themselves, or they don't know, they're just want to defend themselves, they're going to just say, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. Or the child whose feelings of inadequacy overwhelms them until they simply give up and withdraw. Extreme behaviors work too hard for belonging and significance. They're overcompensatory. Sometimes they kind of work because they ease our immediate distress, but they don't work forever. And they don't actually land us closer to our true self. So what I do is I teach people how to be able to overcome their overcompensations. And I teach parents how to not fall into the parenting traps where they think that the attention seeking, that they understand what's really going on underneath those behaviors, so that they can get to the real issue, so that they can help their children not overcompensate, that they can mend, they can heal, they can work, they can understand that they have the problem solving that they did, problem solve the right problem, not increase feeling lesser than, or moving away from the gifts that they came into the world to be. Right? So, quick tips on how to support our children. And then I want to talk with you guys too. I'm going to give you guys a couple of things as well too. Here's how you can support your children. Recognize that every child, so as a parent, recognize that every child comes in with their own temperament and their own being, and honor your child for that. Whatever that may be, there's temperaments, there's all sorts, they're so unique and amazing. It helps to understand that they're always shaping their sense of belonging and significance and importance in the world. So they're always trying to find that. And sometimes it's not in useful ways. So we want to guide them into finding it in useful ways. When you're confronted with disruptive behaviors, know that you're bumping up against pain or misunderstanding or an opportunity for them to learn. Approach with curiosity and wonder. Ask your child questions rather than telling them what they feel or trying to fix the problem for them. When you predict what they're going to say or do, you impose like your idea of who they are onto them. We want to see them for who they really are. So we want to pull from rather than push in. And then connect, teach, and problem solve. Always, always. The biggest thing that we can do is connect. Connection is so key. Connect before you correct or teach. If you don't have that piece of connection, and connection is like empathy and understanding, it's understanding that they're doing their best, it's knowing that they're hurt, it's knowing that maybe they don't understand, it's knowing that they need to learn maybe something. Connection. Get them, you want to be with them before you teach or problem solve. So we connect by understanding that children are doing the best that they can. They're attempting to get their needs met with behaviors that may be useful or not so useful. Your child does want to do well. All children want to do well. They want to belong. They want to feel important and significant, right? So sometimes when they do this in useless ways, we're going to guide them into doing it into other ways. So teach your children how to take their gifts and share them into the world. Support children learning how to solve their own problems, because we need you. And especially now during COVID-19, a lot of my parents are coming to me saying, what am I going to do? I'm like, this is a huge opportunity when we disintegrate, when we have, and we're faced with the things that are going on, we have the biggest opportunity to be able to have the life that we want to live, to be able to truly sit with our values. So we need you as parents, we need you as people, we need our kids, we need really everyone on the planet, so that we all are sharing our gifts with the world. So part of that, the other part, that's my chapter. The other part is also we need you though too. We need us. We need to be okay ourselves. We need to be healthy. We need to be able to quiet our minds and quiet our bodies so that we can truly hear, so that we truly can get back down into the center. So for you guys, I wanted to give you in the chat, what I want to do is I'm going to share with you some things to how to quiet your mind and body, okay? And then the other is parenting. There's a couple of parenting things that I can give to you, but my biggest one right now is the teens. Our parents of teens are really, really struggling, and the younger ones. So I have two things to be able to offer to you guys. I'll throw that in the chat for you. There we go. So if you go to the Gruener Consulting site, you'll get the ways to be able to calm. It's a free gift. How to be able to quiet your mind and quiet your body. 3 easy steps on how to do that. It's really important that we quiet that going on, because when we're stressed, we're not able to hear each other, right? And then the other one is the encouragement parenting site. And at the encouragement, you can get the how to stay sane in parenting your kids during COVID-19. So there's a lot of good ideas on that. And right now I'm using my Q-tip, quit taking it personal, a lot. I know that we're using that at my house. But there's some tips to be able to, how to be able to support, how to be able to stay centered during that. So I wonder what you guys, what you all are thinking, you know, about the during this time, because we're all been going through COVID-19, right? Anybody else? I mean, are disintegrating, rethinking things, reevaluating? Moving into opportunities,
The time is
right?
for open discussion. Now, Catherine has really shared some very powerful moment with us, some great tips. Now, Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, very interesting. I was wondering, do you have a like a spiritual connection with your id, your ego, like a higher power that you connect with when you meditate or go into that area of your mind?
Sure. So we have like kind of what I like to think is, I like to think of the wellness wheel, right? And different aspects of ourselves. But when we're talking about mind, body, soul, so I call that the soul in the simple terms. Your mind is your brain, right? It's your brain. It's the synaptic things that go together that create thought, that create feeling, that create behavior. Your body is the vessel that you're in, that holds the brain and all the organs and all the nerves, and is the external thing that our brain, it takes us around, and we have those experiences in the world, and we filter everything through, you know, kind of our body. And our bodies react to different things automatically. They're constantly reacting if we're not cued in. But we're more than ourselves, Brian. We're more than our brain. I always like to freak out my little clients. I always say, you're more than your brain. And everybody goes like, what are you talking about? Like, my brain says this, isn't that me? And the answer is no. You're more than your brain. So if you want to call that spirituality, if you want to call that a higher power, if you want to call that a higher connection, I personally do. I'm a spiritual person. I think that we're connected to something more than ourselves. And spirituality is very important to me because it helps in grounding. It helps in keeping me, it helps in when I use the strategies that I teach to quiet the mind and quiet the body. It helps me stay grounded, get connected, and be more me. Did that answer your question?
Well, is there an entity there, or is that like getting out of self-actualization, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. So I think that your soul is the thing that animates you. So I think that your soul is you. Whenever I say you, I'm talking about you as a soul. But but you're more than just, so the soul though that you're in is influenced by your brain and your thoughts and your feelings and the environment. So it's holistic. So is there another entity So your question was, is there another entity? Well, you are you, and you are made up of I believe you're made up of your soul, and then your brain and your body. And what was the question specifically?
If there's like a I think like a higher power or creator, a designer outside of self.
You know, this would be fun. Like, you guys, I love philosophy, so I love it. I remember a friend of mine, and when I would love to have had a second degree in philosophy, another degree, but two mamas are okay. I don't think I need another mama. Not MA. I don't know. The answer to that is I don't know. But I do know that there are things that we don't understand, that there's connections between, you call it the butterfly effect. One of my favorite things, Deepak Chopra. I went and saw Deepak Chopra in 1999, so I'm going to use him. I love Deepak Chopra. Who doesn't love Deepak Chopra, right? Maybe some people don't, but I do. And when I saw him in 1999, he was at the Evolution of Psychotherapy conference. He was fantastic. And he said, you are the stars. You are the stars. You are stardust. Because when the earth was made, right, it was an explosion of the stars, and then the earth came together. And so what is in the ground, I'm breathing into my body. And when I'm exhaling, parts of me are going out. Let's think about COVID, right? Everybody wear a mask because parts of you are going out in the world. So let's try to help each other, not spread ourselves, right? So parts of you are going through, sorry about my dog. Part of being home. Parts of you are going out into the world. So when I'm in a room with you, I'm breathing part of you into me. Right? And so we're all connected. We're all connected. And if you think about that, and you think about how we're all connected, how all of this works, to me, there has to be, I don't know if there's someone upstairs, so upstairs saying, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to make that happen. But I do believe that we have a soul and that we're connected on other levels that we don't understand. We don't understand yet. We don't have the capacity to be able to measure. I think that there's more, personally.
Anybody else?
Did I answer that, Brian? Did I answer your question?
Yeah, you pretty much got there.
Okay.
Erika, comments?
I have a question for Catherine. Catherine, you talked a lot about kind of the disintegration and rebuilding, and that to do that, you have to kind of get within yourself. I think a lot of people are in that place right now, maybe professionally, maybe with their families, things like that. I know in my industry in particular, I think we are all in that place because the travel industry is gone at the moment. The ultimate disintegration for the time being. It will come back in some capacity, but what steps might you recommend for people to take that time to kind of, while we wait and while we organize our lives, to get kind of in tune with that part of us that needs to listen? Like what steps might you recommend to really listen to yourself more?
Yeah. So I think that this is why I always start with quieting the mind and quieting the body, right? And different people have different states. So some people, they're anxious and they're moving and they feel stressed and their body hurts, and maybe your shoulder hurts or your back hurts, or you're feeling physically, you can feel tension, right? Or not well, or, you know, I think about the 4 things. You have the fight, flight, freeze, or faint, right? These are 4 things that when people are under tremendous amount of stress, these are the 4 automatic things that people do. And you either have people who are fighters, I'm a fighter, fleers who are like, I'm out of here, fainters who don't feel well. These are the people who, like, something stressful happens and they're feeling sick, like I'm sick to my stomach, or I have a headache, or I have migraines. And then the freezers who just I become immobilized, right? So that's kind of the body stuff. The mind stuff is all of the negative thoughts or all of the decisions and the judgments that we've made that are not helpful to us. So during this time, we want to quiet our minds and we want to quiet our bodies in order to get back into ourselves. So if you're trying to quiet your body, what you want to do is you want to do things. This is where you do yoga. This is where you go walking. This is where you do a body scan. Like a lot of times, what's amazing is a lot of times we're sitting in our bodies and we're not even aware of our bodies. We're not even aware that there might be a pain going on. We're not even aware if what's happening. So doing a body scan, just saying, how does my legs feel? How do my arms feel? How does my stomach feel? How does my neck feel? That's going to give you a brief little into, am I holding some stress? Where do I need to work on? What do I need to do? And then you can use breathing exercises to relax. So deep breathing and breathing exercises. So mindful exercises, you can breathe. Breathe into the count of 4 and out to the count of 5. And while you're doing that, saying, I am peace. Quieting the mind is different as well too. So every time you have a negative thought, oh my gosh, the travel industry is going to be done. I don't know what's going to happen to me. Got it. I call it a negative thought train. Every time you have a negative thought, your body's reacting. Every time. And here's the funny part that I always say too. Why is it, and they're always thinking about the future, right? Because of, and I'm sure, why is it, are we always thinking negative things about the future? Why aren't we saying, yes, this is going to happen in the future? Why are we saying, oh my gosh, this is going to happen. It's going to be terrible. What am I going to do, right? Notice that when you're doing that, because every time you have a negative thought, your body starts to react and you add more stress. So notice when you're having, and when you're mind reading or when you're going into the future and you're having this negative thought, stop. Breathe. This is a 3, actually, if you go to the Gruener Consulting, you're going to get the 3 steps. Stop. Breathe. Remind yourself, I'm in here, I'm in the present. If you can't get into the present, you can do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Name 5 things that you can see. Name 4 things that you can hear. Name 3 things that you can smell. Name 2 things that you can feel. Name 1 thing that you like to taste. Come into the present. Breathe. Remind yourself that you're here. You're now. I am peace. I'm at peace in the moment. I'm okay right now in the moment. Reconnect with the core. And for all of those who are disintegrating, like when I had a month or 2 when I was on Saipan, where I was just like, what the heck is happening? You know, like I was completely grounded. All of my belief systems were just knocked out of the water. I could not, I was like, wow. And journal. To be able to do during the day, what's my high point, what's my low point, what's my responsibility if you're worried about the everyday stuff. If you're looking at where I want to reconnect with my core, then it's, what are my values? What's most important? What's the things that I like? What's the things that I don't like? and try to think about and get back down into values. And how then can I add 5% more of my values or the things that I like in my life tomorrow? Not 100%, 5%. What can I do tomorrow to add 5% more?
That's awesome. I love that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna use that again. I'm gonna work on that. I like that a lot.
Mary, you have your hands up.
Oh,
Mary?
I had two things. Just quickly, on Saturday is the lunar eclipse, and astrologically, it's such an incredible time to reevaluate. And so it just kind of falls into what we're talking about here, to reevaluate, to discard, to reassess, to move forward, to let go, to, to contemplate what's working, what's not working. It's just, again, astrologically, the right time to go into that moment, which is perfect for the 4th of July when we're really looking at, our values in this country. And the way I heard something great on NPR today, that one city is having a reverse parade where the parade is stationary and they're going to drive through. So it's reassessing a situation that is not working and trying to make it better. So so that was the first thing. And then the second was a question for new parents, for pregnant parents to be. Do you have a book that you recommend that parents can read? When I was pregnant with my first child, 30 years ago or whatever, I was given a book by a teacher friend, and I think it was Building Your Child's Self-Esteem. I don't remember the exact name, but it was so helpful from the beginning to have an idea of how to parent, because we know parenting doesn't come with a manual. And for me, the changes that have to be made, we really, it's like taking care of a disease at the basis versus putting a Band-Aid on it. We have to start with, like, parenting skills. And so is there something that we could, that I could recommend, that you recommend, that would help parents just get the mindset of parenting when that child starts to be a little defiant or become, starts to develop and show their personality? What, is there something that you can recommend for that?
Yeah, absolutely. I first off, I love that the lunar, so I don't know if Brian has gone or whatever, but here, so I wasn't supposed to be reading today, but the lunar eclipse is happening this weekend. So whatever you want to call that, I don't know why that happens, but it happens, right? So whether you call it divine, whether you call it connection, I'm not sure. So I just wanted to kind of bring up that point. Marion, that was awesome. Thank you. But second, so I have to, so here's the thing, which why I do parenting is because we've actually had lots of great research-backed, evidence-based ways to be able to parent since the 80s. And why we're not sharing it, I don't know. That's why I'm sharing it, because I'm like, if I would have had this, I would have, this would have been so much, maybe I wouldn't have looked at it when they were 6 months, but boy, when they were 2, I would have totally. So there's a thing called the 4 mistaken goals of behavior. You can Google it. It is out there. I give it to all my clients as well too. It's free. It's from Positive Discipline. Everybody should have that, because those are the 4 parent traps that we get into. And it tells you, like every time I go through it and people haven't seen it before, I say, so for example, let's say a power struggle, all right? Your child does something and you think you can't get away with it. I'm gonna make you do this. And you're feeling shocked and angered, right? And you say, you can't get away with this. I'm gonna make you do this. You need to do that. And then what does the child do? They come right back and say, go ahead. I'm gonna do it, right? And it becomes a power struggle. And every time, if we keep doing that over and over and over, what we don't realize though, and this is the wonderful about the chart, is what happens, remember belonging and significance. So that child, if that happens over and over and over again, that child begins to believe that they only matter and they count if they win, if they're the boss, and if they get what they want, because they believe that winning is the way to belong. That may not be who they came into the world to be. And winning is important, and having power is important, but that's not, it can be very used in useless ways, right? And so then in that chart, you'll see there's tons, and I'm not just one way, because there's never just one way, tons of recommendations on what else to do. So instead of getting into a power struggle, just a quick one for that one, is instead of saying, no, you won't, you want to ask them to help you out. You think you can help me out? And go and do this. Ask for help instead. I love, so I'm into Lyrian, so Dreiker's Children the Challenges was the first book. I would not recommend it. It's kind of a little bit of a meaty book. Positive Discipline with Jane Nelson, and go to the early years. She has one book for each year. If you are starting out and you're getting ready to have a baby, great to have the book about, what to expect when expecting. If you come from a gifted family, though, what to expect when expecting is not going to. If you come from a neurotypical, a non-neurotypical family, which has people who are sensitive and intense and who are on the go all the time, who might be mislabeled as ADHD, or mislabeled as manic depressive, or mislabeled as those eccentric people, that's not going to help you. So I wrote a book called Parenting Young Gifted Children, What to Expect When You Have the Unexpected, because there is no book out there for what to expect. But for the connection piece, I would highly recommend reading Positive Discipline, getting the Positive Discipline the early years. And there's a Positive Discipline A to Z. So if you're a parent and you have a young parent and you go like, I just need the answer, get Positive Discipline A to Z. You can go and say, here's the problem. Okay, I'm going to try this. And then there's tons of books, Mary, right? There's a lot of them.
Thank you. It's so important to start. It's so important to start even before they arrive, Yeah. I just watched last night, real quick aside, I just watched for about the 5th time, 3 Identical Strangers, because I was working with someone yesterday who was having some parenting issues, and he was wondering whether it was the environment or whether there was something genetic. And I said, watch that movie and see what you think. I don't know if anybody on the panel here has watched that. Oh, it's so fascinating. But the parenting styles are the most important, and anyway, so if you haven't watched that movie, it's such an eye-opener. It's such an eye-opener. And so really, it starts out as such a great uplifting movie, and it really has there's a dark side to it, but it's just such an eye-opener that how our parenting styles need to shape our society. And I look at what's going on in the world right now, and I'm thinking, man, we talk about loving each other, and for the certain factions of our nation to start loving the other factions. It's so deep. Those issues are so core. They start before birth, So that's why I thought, is there something, even if it's just 10 people that read that book, something that where we can start the pebble in the pond,
Yeah.
Start with the strangers.
I think, Mary, I completely agree. I completely agree. But I think that I like to think of it, though, as, and when I talk with my parents, who I always say your children, the gift that your children give you is the opportunity to heal your past.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because we parent as we were parented. Or sometimes we parent in reaction to how. I'm never going to do that, right? And when we do that, that's that overcompensation again. And we move equally far away from who we really are, from our strengths when we do that. And so sometimes neither of them get us to connection, teaching, and problem solving.
Exactly. And I think for me, the importance of having a resource like a book or something online, it's not so much that if child A does this, then parent B does this, but it's more the understanding of what you just said. It's the broader picture. Is there something that where we can understand that we're really projecting our own hurt, our own anger, our own insecurities onto our children, and we get mad for them when they reflect back to us? There's something, you know, so that book, but with that book, my child's self-esteem really helped that. But I thought, gosh, you know, that's so old. There's got to be something more current that more, you know, a little wiser that maybe that's.
Well, if you're looking for that, then you want to do Dan Siegel's books. So the Whole Brain Child. And so you want to do Dan Siegel's Whole Brain Child. He's got about 3 of the books that are out there. I'm actually getting trained in his mindfulness techniques right now, Brian, which you would be interested in because that's going to answer that question even more. Dan has some great stuff. And I completely agree with you. Completely 100%. But look at Dan Siegel's then Whole Brain Child. And the others.
Have you heard of that? The book, how to, let's see, something like how to speak, how to talk so your children will listen, and how to listen.
Mm-hmm.
I hand that copy out all the time. I feel like a library to parents, you know, so that helps with some of that. So you know that book,
right, Mary? Yeah, they're an Adlerian. That's an Adlerian-based book. Those are all Adlerian-based books. But if you're healing that part of you, though, too, that's the other thing, too. So I always say Q-tip to my parents. So I do my telemental health here, and I have my Q-tip. And I tell my parents, quit taking it personal. Q-tip, 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 Q-tip. Because when you take it personal, even when they're saying, I hate you, all that means is that they're angry. You don't know what exactly they're angry about. They're directing it at you. And we need to get underneath and find out what that anger is. And they're expressing it in non-useful ways, right? Q-tip, Q-tip, Q-tip. And if you can't, and you are, then that's your opportunity to heal.
Thank you, Catherine. And Laleh, once again, you were right. It's a so beautiful day. Catherine and Mary and everybody took us to the lunar eclipse. Catherine, you took me to my psychology classes, remembering Maslow. But this is the first time ever that I am understanding self-actualization to a different dimension, and also bringing it to us for the parents and the children. I think we really benefited from that. We're gonna read from that same masterpiece that Pat Sampson put her life into it and connect all of us together, including you now, Brian. And I'm so happy to see your face. We're gonna read from the preface of the book. I'm grateful to be a woman/man, because we can forget Brian. There's something which impels us to show our inner souls. The more courageous we are, the more we succeed in explaining what we know. Maya Angelou. Now we have 9 minutes to turn it over to our author, Laleh Hancock. She is a change agent, an access, consciousness, and joy of business facilitator. And she is committed, a committed benevolent capitalist with a desire to bring the global wellness to the forefront of everyone's awareness. And that's what we need today. In conclusion, she will take us with her skills for the next 9 minutes and sharing her tips with us.
You guys are so magical. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Flore. And Catherine, I am so grateful to know you're in the world. And I have to take a minute and forget my chapter and just thank Pat Sampson, because she is one magician who can find truly diamonds in the world that no one even knew about and bring them together to show the gift and the true leadership that we've each had in whatever our specialties and interests have been. And she was able to bring 50 people together, you know, talk about people like Oprah and us, like all put in one, because we each have a gift. And Catherine, I have to tell you, I work with a lot of parents and individuals with these special gifts that you talk about. And like, I love that you kept emphasizing how much people are mislabeled as a disability when it's their actual superpowers, you know? And it's funny, like COVID, it's been one of the interesting global perspectives, you know? It really has opened our minds, our hearts, our bodies to see that a lot of changes need to happen in our world. The kindness that people need to have for themselves and the kindness that we need to have with others. And I had I don't know, my body was the magical one and brought me to Portugal and kept me here. And it's opened up so many possibilities that I didn't even know could be happening this year. And, you know, I just want to say about leadership, most of us misidentify what leadership is. And we think it's a job, it's a title someone gives to you. But we each know, ladies, we know that's not the case. And Brian as well. And anyone who's watching this in the future, it literally is within us from the minute we are born, and probably even before that, that we're coming in for that purpose that you were speaking about, Catherine. And I truly believe that there is a different calling for the seekers of the world to come together. And Mary, you are magic. Mary said when we were looking at bringing this book club together, we knew this was not a traditional book club. It really was to be that space, to be that place, to be that communion that really the world needs right now more than ever. And she called it a little sisterhood, but I'm going to call it a sisterhood and a brotherhood, because even though this is America's Leading Ladies, it actually is the oneness coming together and being the leaders to move truly our lives, our worlds, and create for today and for the future. You know, like you were saying, most people are afraid of the future, but the future is talking to us on a regular basis, and it's dancing with us in our bodies. And it's saying, guess what? You think today is difficult? Stop it. It's not. Mm-hmm. You're going to have such a wonderful and prosperous future, but what you think is what you're creating in your life. So stop thinking the nonsense and start looking at not the problem, but the possibilities that are there. The possibilities in each of these actions of what's happening, not just in the US, but that I'm watching truly like transpire around the world. I'm watching kids become true leaders, and it's not waiting for someone to be 30 or 40 or 50 or become a president of a country to be the leader, but each person looking at their world around them. And like you said, the uniqueness, when you're being you, when you're no longer seeking from outside of you for the approval, when you really are being you, you are the joy. You're not the fight that those kids have with their parents. That self-identity, really, they're seeking is, who am I? And I work with people, it doesn't matter how old they are. Some of them are 90 years old, some are 50, some are 20, you know, and it's like each of us is so unique and so different. And when we allow our uniqueness to shine, that is us being a leader. Because then we allow that to actually exist, where there's that inspiration and that invitation for others. And I am so grateful to know you all. I mean, I'm just like, Pat Sampson, I adore her anyway. I have so much love for that magician who just knows what to do, when to do it. And just what a gift to truly bring this book into the world, and what each of us together, and not just this book, what each of us in partnership around the world as individuals we're able to create is way beyond anything that's ever existed. So I'm just going to ask, what else is possible we haven't considered? Because it's not about what you thought yesterday was. We're on a brand new world, brand new track, and yesterday doesn't matter anymore. So what are you choosing today? Because your choice of today is creating today and tomorrow. And what world would you like to see out there? And you've got to choose it even if no one else does, because that's the gift of a true leader. So thank you guys for this time. I'm so grateful.
Okay, 2 minutes left. Then I know it's Independence Day. I'm waving the flag for all of us. You see, you can clap. You know we have to clap. And we didn't plan this. It's so beautiful. We can be together in a land where we share connection, self-actualization, leadership, diversity with Renee, she always said that, art with Lencia, and uniqueness with Dr. Clement. Brian, for being the gentleman always among us. We're telling you to always stay tuned to follow us on YouTube, because the America Leading Ladies Book Club is a non-traditional format. Last word, Madam Producer.
Thank you for being here today, and we are so grateful for you. And also, we look forward to seeing you next week as we present 2 other authors from this magical book to share their gift to the world.
Be safe.
Thank you, Dr. Flore. Thank
Bye,
you.
guys. Be safe.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.